Hi, hello everyone. Good morning, my dear young minds. Welcome back to biology session. Today, our important concepts from first year, first PUC, the living world, the living world, important chapter, but very easy chapter and small chapter. We are expecting at least one question from this chapter, right? So before we discuss about the concept of living world, scientist introduction important. Ernest Mayer. Ernest Mayer. Ernest Mayer, famous biologist, and he is also known as the Darwin of 20th century. And he performed experiments on several flora and fauna. Flora means study of plants. Fauna means study of animals. Study of animals. Clear? And he was given various prestigious awards, rewards, etc. Baljan Prize, the prize of International Prize of Science, Crawford Prize, etc. Hence, Ernest Mayer widely regarded as triple crown of biology. Triple crown of biology. Right? This is briefly about scientist biography introduction. Sometimes question paper setter prepare questions from scientist introduction. Clear? Then go through main concept, the living world. In this chapter, here we will discuss only main concepts. Growth, reproduction, self-consciousness, These three are non-defining properties of living organisms. Non-defining properties of living organisms. Next to metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness. These three are known as defining properties of living organisms. Important areas. You must know what are, here I wrote short form, try to understand what are non-defining properties of living organisms and which are defining properties of living organisms. Non-defining properties of living organisms, example, growth, reproduction and self-consciousness. Because growth, when we consider increase in biomass, growth also occur in non-living things, not only living organisms, even non-living organisms. Non-living things also shows growth. Best example, rocks, big size rocks, boulders, hilly areas, etc. Due to addition of dust particles, plant parts or animal parts, the size of the hill also gradually increase in thickness. That is also called growth. Hence, growth occur not only in living organisms but also non-living things. Hence, it is non-defining property of living organisms. Second one, reproduction. Reproduction common in living organisms, but some living organisms they did not perform reproduction. Example, mule, henny, and honeybees. Some honeybees. Okay, worker bees. Example, worker bees, and some reptiles. They did not perform reproduction. These members are sterile organisms. Due to its sterility, these organisms unable to produce next generation. Clear? Hence, reproduction occur in living organisms but not occur in all living organisms. Okay, hence reproduction also one of the non-defining property of living organisms. Then self-consciousness. Self-consciousness. This character applicable for only higher living animals, particularly man, human beings, means primates, human beings, chimpanzee, monkey, gorilla, apes, etc. What is self-consciousness? The ability of an organism respond towards surroundings and think about themselves. Think about themselves. The capacity of an organism is called self-consciousness. This character applicable for only primates but not for non-primates. Hence, self-consciousness also non-defining property of living organisms. Clear? Next, metabolism, cellular organization and consciousness. These three are defining properties of living organisms. You don't confuse between self-consciousness and consciousness. The term self-consciousness belongs to only primates but not non-primates. Next, consciousness belongs to all types of organisms. First, go through metabolism. Every organism, every living organism shows naturally metabolic activities, body functions, life processes. Okay, for example, respiration, digestion, transportation, photosynthesis, respiration. These are some examples of metabolic factors. Okay, so metabolism common in all living organisms. Next, cellular organization. Cell, what is a cell? What are the constituents in a cell? What are cell organelles? Different types of cell organelles perform their respective functions. Clear? So, each and every organism made up of cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, etc. Each and every cell contain their own cell constituents, means cell organelles. So, cellular organization also common in all living organisms from unicellular to multicellular organisms. Then consciousness. That means the ability of an organism respond towards surrounding stimulus. Internal stimuli or external stimuli is called consciousness. It is also common in all living organisms, plants, animals, lower living animals, higher living animals, lower living plants, higher living plants, unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms. All types of living organisms performs response towards stimuli. That is called consciousness. Hence, metabolism, cellular organization and consciousness are referred to as defining properties of living organisms. I am expecting one question from this area. What are non-defining properties and which are defining properties of living organisms? Clear? Right. Next, we go through basics of taxonomy. There are four basics: C, I, C, N. C for characterization. Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. Etc. Very important. Basics of taxonomy. These are the four basics of taxonomy. Small code CICN. Here you don't confuse between first C and next C. First C represent characterization. Next C represent classification. First characterization. That means what? A process. First identification. Before identification, we ourselves identify what are the morphological characters and internal characteristic features of plants or animals. Okay, observation of morphological characters and internal characters of an organism is known as characterization. Next, identification. After characterization, we ourselves identify, yes, these are plants, these are animals, lower living plants, higher living plants, lower living animals, higher living animals, etc. That is called identification. Next to classification. After identification, just now I said that we ourselves easily classify. These are plants, these are animals, these are microbes. Okay, this classification comes after identification. Next, nomenclature. Naming of organisms is called nomenclature. A process of giving name to particular organism is called nomenclature. So it is quite common all over the world. Nomenclature are of various kinds: binomial nomenclature, trinomial nomenclature, polynomial nomenclature, etc. But in NCERT, binomial nomenclature mentioned. Binomial nomenclature proposed by Linnaeus, Carolus von Linnaeus. Carolus von Linnaeus first proposed binomial nomenclature. According to binomial nomenclature, each and every organism having two names, genus and species. Genus and species. First word is called genus. An example, Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica. Mangifera genus, indica species. While writing plant or animal scientific names, we must follow some rules and regulations. Genus always begins with capital letter. Species always begins with small letter. If you write italic font, means no need to underline. If you follow your own font handwriting, then we can underline genus and species separately. That's all. These are the common rules, criteria we must follow while writing scientific names of plants or animals. So binomial nomenclature means a name with two words is called binomial nomenclature. It was proposed by Carolus von Linnaeus. That's all. Next to taxon. Taxa plural form, taxon singular form. Taxon also called class or category, etc. Okay, taxonomy means what? It is a branch of biological science dealing with study of classification of plants and animals or microscopic organisms based on their morphological character and anatomical character is called taxonomy. Clear? Understood? That is the basics of taxonomy, binomial nomenclature. What is taxon? What is taxa? And what are another names of taxon? Taxon, also called category or rank. Category, rank, status. These are all common names. Taxon is technical term, right? Okay. One important question: how many organisms identified on the globe according to recent researches? Means approximately about 1.7 to 1.8 million species. Important. Diversity in the living organisms. What is diversity? Distribution of all types of organisms, plants, animals, microbes in all regions on the earth, on the globe, is called diversity. According to recent researches, nearly 1.7 to 1.8 million species of organisms identified in different regions on the globe. one important objective question. Okay. Next go through general concepts. So, taxonomic categories. Also called hierarchy. Taxonomic categories or hierarchy. Very important. It include 7 steps. First, species, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, and at last kingdom. Total 7 steps are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 steps. Dear students, all of you remember taxonomic hierarchy. First is species. Species also called specific epithet. A group of closely related indivisible organisms called species. The genus means a group of closely related species together organize genus. Next, family means a group of closely related organisms together organize family. Next, order means a group of closely related families together organize order. Next, class means a group of closely related orders together organize class. Similarly, phylum and division. The term phylum belongs to animals. The term division belongs to botany, means plants. Okay, a group of closely related phylum or division together organize kingdom, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, etc. These are the 7 taxonomical hierarchy. Dear students, all of you go through once NCERT book examples, plant examples, animal examples regarding this taxonomic hierarchy. Which is the smallest taxon in taxonomic hierarchy? Answer, species. And which is the biggest taxonomic hierarchy? Means division. Sorry, kingdom. You must follow plant examples, animal examples. Okay, the scientific names are important. Suppose Panthera tigris, Panthera leo, Panthera pardas. Animal examples. Plants examples: Solanum tuberosum, Solanum melangena. Okay. So according to NCERT book examples, you have to understand this concept, right? That is about taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomic hierarchy, also called taxonomic category. In NCERT book, one box point given. 2 animal examples, 2 plant examples. Animal example, human and housefly. Plant example, mango and wheat. Mango and wheat plant. Like this, one box point given. Okay. In NCERT book, 2 animal examples and 2 plant examples. Within the box mentioned name of the animal, scientific name means biological name of organism. Suppose man scientific name Homo sapiens. Housefly scientific name Musca domestica. Mango scientific name Mangifera indica. Wheat scientific name Triticum vulgare. Their genus name, species name, class, order, family, kingdom. Based on this concept, one box point given in NCERT. My dear students, you must focus on box point. I am expecting one question compulsorily from box point. Understood? Okay. Next to taxonomic aids. Taxonomic aids. Here aids in the sense helpers. Helpers. Okay. Taxonomic aids play a crucial role in identification of plants or animals in their natural habitats or artificial habitats. Okay, for our clear identification, taxonomical aids play a crucial role. Okay, the first one, herbarium. Herbarium, botanical gardens, botanical gardens, museum, zoological parks, next key, couplet, next lead, monograph, catalog, etc. These are the different types of taxonomical aids. First one, herbarium. Herbarium means dried, pressed and preserved plant pot fixed on herbarium sheet. Herbarium sheet, it is more thick in size, light brown in color. Its size 11 inches into 11 into 15 inches. 11 into 15 inches. Okay. So herbarium contain the total information about plant. What is name of the plant, scientific name of the plant, genus, species, class, order, family, everything. Even a person who collected particular plant, person name also clearly mentioned on the herbarium sheet. So by observing herbarium, we ourselves easily identify what is the shape of the plant, what is the name of the plant, what type of plant it is, whether it is dicot plant or monocot plant. Clear? Understood now? Okay. So it is a quick referral system. Herbarium is quick referral for identification of plants. So dried, preserved and pressed plants fixed on the surface of the herbarium. That's all. Next, botanical gardens. Botanical gardens are live taxonomical aids, living taxonomical aids. Suppose if you visit any botanical garden, like many overs, suppose Ooty, Kodaikanal, Bangalore city, Lal Bagh, an example Lal Bagh, and UP, Uttar Pradesh, Kolkata. In different areas, there are several thousands of botanical gardens. Even which is the biggest botanical garden means KEW, located in England. Okay, Indian Botanical Garden located in India, Howrah, West Bengal. Okay, so these are different types of botanical garden. Next, ICBN, ICZN. Their full forms are important. ICBN stands for International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. ICZN stands for International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Full forms are important, right? Okay, so botanical gardens are live examples. If you visit botanical garden, one nameplate fixed with the plant, tied with the plant. By observing nameplate, we ourselves easily identify what is the scientific name of the plant, genus name, species name, class, order, family, their economic importance, and collector, a person who collected the plant, that person name also mentioned on nameplate. So nameplate fixed with the tree or plant. That is the importance of botanical gardens. These are all live examples. Next, museum. It include dead plants, animals. These are all stuffed and preserved in chemicals. Preserved in chemicals. Therefore, these plants or animals, dead plants or dead animals, preserved for a longer time without damage or desiccation. While identify, we ourselves easily identify, yes, this is animal, this is plant. Okay, these are lower living plants, higher living plants, lower living animals, higher living animals. But museum contain dead plants and animals that are stuffed and preserved in chemicals. That's all. Next, zoological parks. Like botanical gardens, zoological parks also living examples, means live examples. When you visit any zoological park, we ourselves easily identify various types of animals, wild animals, okay, omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, different types of animals, domestic animals, wild animals, etc. Next, key. Key means another type of taxonomical aid which helps in identification of plants or animals by based on their morphological characters or anatomical characters. That is called key. Next, couplet. Couplet is a part of key. A part of key. It includes contrasting characters. Means opposite characters. Couple means two. What are two? Two different types of characters. Useful characters, useless characters. But we want only useful characters. Delete or reject useless character. Suppose tall plant, dwarf plant. Tall plant, dominant trait. Dwarf plant, recessive trait. We want only tall plants. Rejected dwarf plants. Similarly, go through one's Mendel experiments. Dominant traits, recessive traits, etc. Mostly we select dominant traits and reject recessive traits. That is called couplet. Couplet include a pair of characters, contrasting characters, out of which one character is useful, other character is useless. So select useful character and reject useless character. That is called couplet. Next, lead. Lead means each and every statement of the key is called lead. That's all. Monograph. Monograph, a type of taxonomical aid that contain one complete information of an organism. Complete information of an organism such as plants or animals called monograph. Then catalog. Catalog, another type of taxonomical aid that contain information of plants or animals and their habitats, their distribution. This total information available in catalogs. Next, flora and fauna. Flora means plants, study of plants. Fauna means study of animals. Study of plants, their habitats and distribution is called flora. Study of animals, their habitats, their distribution, their interaction between organisms is called fauna. These are the various types of taxonomical aids that helps in identification of plants or animals in their habitats, local habitats or artificial habitats. Understood? These are the main points covered from the living world. We are expecting one question, right? Okay. Next to second chapter, biological classification. Now we will discuss important characters, important points from biological classification. Biological classification. This chapter includes different scientist names and their classification. First scientist, Aristotle, Linnaeus, Ernest Haeckel, Copeland, R.H. Whittaker, and Carl Woese et al. Aristotle, who is also known as the father of biology. Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, a great personality, one of the versatile genius person, because he studied not only biology, even physics, chemistry, mathematics, psychology, physiology, etc. So great personality. Therefore, Aristotle also known as a versatile genius person, father of biology. He was first proposed scientific classification method. He classified all life forms into two categories: plants, animals. Plants are of two kinds: flowering plants, non-flowering plants. Okay, and animals are of two kinds: Anaima. Anaima means invertebrates. Anaima means vertebrates. Okay, invertebrates include other than red-blooded animals. That means from protozoans to echinodermata. These are all invertebrates other than red-blooded animals. Vertebrates include fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals. These are all having red blood. So according to Aristotle classification, animals are of two kinds: Anaima and Anaima. That's all. But he did not classify what are unicellular organisms and which are multicellular organisms. Okay, and which are eukaryotes and what are prokaryotes. This type of classification not given by Aristotle. These are some demerits from Aristotle's classification. Next, Linnaeus, Carolus von Linnaeus, father of binomial nomenclature, famous personality. He proposed two kingdom classification, Plantae Animalia. Two kingdom classification, Plantae Animalia. Plantae and Animalia. I wrote short form. Plantae Animalia. Kingdom Plantae include all types of plants: unicellular plants, multicellular plants, lower living plants, higher living plants, flowering plants, non-flowering plants. All types of plants collectively grouped under Kingdom Plantae. Next, Animalia. It includes all types of animals: lower living animals, higher living animals, unicellular animals, multicellular animals. But there are some demerits in Linnaeus classification. He did not classify like Aristotle. He also did not classify difference between eukaryotes and prokaryotes, unicellular and multicellular organism differences. Clear? Next, Ernest Haeckel. He proposed three kingdom system of classification: Protista, Plantae and Animalia. Protista, Plantae and Animalia. Who first proposed the word Protista means Ernest Haeckel. Kingdom Protista include all types of unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Unicellular eukaryotic organisms belongs to Protista. Plantae, as all of you know, multicellular plants. Animalia, multicellular animals. Right? Next, Copeland. Copeland proposed four kingdom classification. Four kingdom classification. Clear? What are four kingdoms? Monera, Protista, Plantae and Animalia. Monera, I wrote short form. Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia. The word Monera was first used by Copeland. Kingdom Monera include all unicellular or multicellular prokaryotic organisms. Unicellular prokaryotes, example Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Mycoplasma, and multicellular prokaryotes, example blue-green algae such as Nostoc, Anabaena, Oscillatoria, Cyanobacteria. These are all multicellular prokaryotes. Clear? Next, Prodista. Same. Kingdom Prodista include unicellular organisms, both plants and animals. Next, Plantae. Kingdom Plantae include only multicellular plants. Kingdom Animalia include multicellular animals. But he did not classify fungus. Okay. Later, Whittaker. Whittaker's classification very important. Monera, Prodista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, etc. R.H. Whittaker. In the year 1969, famous scientist R.H. Whittaker proposed a 5-kingdom classification. Nowadays, we are following 5-kingdom classification only. Even Whittaker's classification was widely accepted by several world biologists. Monera, Prodista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Kingdom Monera include all prokaryotes. Prodista include all unicellular organisms, means plants, animals, etc. Fungus, fungi, it is multicellular heterotrophs, all types of fungi. Before scientists like Copeland, Ernest Haeckel, Linnaeus, Aristotle, they did not classify fungus. But Whittaker was first given particular status for fungus. Hence, Whittaker's classification was widely accepted. Kingdom Plantae include all types of multicellular plants. Animalia include all types of multicellular animals, because unicellular plants and unicellular animals grouped under Kingdom Prodista. Don't confuse here, right? Next, Carl Woese et al., another scientist. He proposed 6 kingdom classification. 6 kingdom classification. Archaea, bacteria, Prodista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Here Kingdom Monera subdivided into 2 parts. Archaea, bacteria. Rest of the words same. Prodista, fungi, Plantae, Animalia. Okay. Later, Carl Woese et al. And their co-workers clustered all 6 kingdoms into 3 domains. 3 domains. What are 3 domains? Archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. Archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. These 3 are domains. Etc. So domain also a type of taxonomical hierarchy. It is bigger than kingdom. Understood now? All 6 kingdoms. Archaea, same as it is. Bacteria. Next, rest of the 4 kingdoms, Prodista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, collectively grouped under eukarya. Eukarya include only eukaryotic organisms. Bacteria include only eubacteria like Coccus bacteria, Vibrio bacteria, Spirillum bacteria, etc. Archaebacteria include methanogens, thermoxylophiles, halophiles. That's all. This is about various scientist names and their classification. We are expecting at least 1 question from classification, right? Now we will discuss Whittaker's classification. Whittaker classification and comparison. In NCERT book, one box point given. Dear students, roughly go through box point. Comparison between Madeira, Pedista, fungi, plantae, animalia. Clearly mentioned all characters. Okay, suppose cell wall character, cell membrane character, type of nutrition, reproduction. These all characters compare between different types of kingdoms. Madeira, Pedista, fungi, plantae and animalia. From box point, I am expecting one question compulsorily. Right? Next go through kingdom Madeira. General features. Kingdom Madeira members mostly cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan means universal microorganisms. They exist their life in all weather conditions. In all weather conditions. Because they grow in air, soil, atmosphere, on plants, on animals, in deepest layers of soil, at seabed level, at polar regions, ice, everywhere. Hence, Madeirans also called cosmopolitan or universal microorganisms. Also called ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means universal microorganisms. That's all. Kingdom Madeira include Archaebacteria. Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Mycoplasma. Mycoplasma. Archaebacteria again are of three kinds: methanogens, thermoacidophiles, and halophiles. Halophiles. Three types. Archaebacteria. Archae means primitive bacteria, the first bacteria. Archaebacteria mostly grow in adverse conditions, adverse areas like high temperature, atmosphere, low temperature, all adverse conditions. It is again are of three kinds: methanogens, thermoacidophiles, and halophiles. Methanogens mostly grow in waterlogged conditions. Some methanogens also grow in what you call that, ruminants stomach. Understood? Okay. So in methanogens, their cell wall is made up of pseudomurine. Okay, that is cell wall composition, very important. Pseudomurine. Methanogens produce biogas. Biogas is a mixture of gases like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, nitrogen, traces of oxygen, sulfur, etc. Then thermoacidophiles. Thermoacidophiles mostly grow in high temperature areas like volcanoes, lavas, geysers, okay, hot vents, hot springs. They tolerate even 80 to 90 degrees Celsius temperature because due to deposition of silver material, that is called pseudomurine. Next, halophiles. Halophiles mostly grow in salty areas. They tolerate salt, local high salinity conditions. Okay, that is about Archaebacteria. Understood now? Okay, now Eubacteria.